About 100 servicemen who were detained in a closed area for abandoning a military unit in the Krasnodar region of Russia have escaped from their place of detention. Russian telegram channels reported this. The servicemen left the area by climbing over the fence of the military unit where they were being held at night. It is said that the fleeing servicemen were unarmed. A large number of police and helicopters have been deployed to the area, and roads have been closed. According to Russian media, law enforcement officers have blocked 2nd Trudova Street near the Krasnodar military unit, with many police officers on site and vehicle inspections continuing. Additionally, Russian media reports that the area of the local military commandant's office was surrounded by Russian National Guard troops and police vehicles. It is still unknown whether any of the soldiers managed to escape from the Krasnodar military unit. It is said that some of the escapees have been caught and returned. No official statement has been made regarding the incident. It should be noted that cases of forcibly detaining servicemen who have deserted the Russian army and do not want to fight, and then being sent back to fight, have increased. Earlier, the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported an increase in cases of desertion in the Russian army and disobedience to leadership. By the way, a similar escape incident recently occurred in one of the military units on Russian territory, though it wasn't as large-scale. This refers to the incident near Novosibirsk that took place in November of last year. At that time, 10 to 15 Russian soldiers escaped from their unit. Several of them had previously fought against Ukraine.
Да, кто-то говорит оружие.
Ну, конечно. Дорого стоит. Ладно, это я. Держи.
Все, иди.
Ты неправильно обманываешь.
Валя, пошли, домой.
Как?
Блядь, отмотай мне как ты. Мы сейчас на моду их на заднем тут ехать будем.
Машину проезжай.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Thursday that Ukrainian intelligence has received information that China is supplying weapons to the Russian Federation. It's not that we're surprised, but we really didn't want to see the facts that we witnessed and that I witnessed. Zelensky added during the press briefing in Kiev. I had a conversation with the Chinese leader during this war. And I asked him a direct question about weapons, and he gave me his word that he would not sell weapons and send them to Russia. But, unfortunately, we see different information now. According to Associated Press, Zelensky also stated that Ukraine will be able to talk about this matter in great detail next week.
Ми отримали нарешті інформацію, що Китай поставляє зброю Російської Федерації. І ми готові будемо говорити про це детально. На сьогодні ми маємо інформацію загальну від Сил Служби безпеки, від розвідок про порох, артилерію. І я думаю, що ми дуже детально зможемо про це сказати наступного тижня, особливо про дані, що ми вважаємо, що представники Китаю займаються виробництвом деякої зброї на території Росії. Не те, що ви здивовані, але дійсно не хотілося бачити відповідні факти, які ми бачили, які я бачив. Тому що все ж таки була у мене розмова з китайським лідером під час цієї війни, і я ставив пряме запитання щодо зброї. Він мені дав слово, що зброю продавати і відправляти в Росію не буде. Але, на жаль, ми бачимо зараз іншу інформацію. В будь-якому випадку у нас вже є факти про цю роботу Китаю і Росії на посилення їх обороноздатності. І це погані факти.
Sumy is the only regional center that the enemy regularly shells, not only with drones and missiles, but also with barrel and rocket artillery, simply because it is located closer to the border than other cities. However, the key reason why Russia launched a missile strike on Sumy on April the 13th was to create a buffer zone, regardless of whether Putin plans to achieve any result in the negotiations or not. He has begun to implement his diabolical plan. This was stated by Ukrainian political scientist and serviceman Taras Berezovets during a conversation with Mark Figin. The Kremlin's strategy is absolutely clear. This is not just intimidation. The Russian Federation is deliberately committing war crimes against civilians in order to force them to leave the border areas. The Russians want to literally create an uninhabited grey zone several dozen kilometers wide, the analyst noted. Unfortunately, we must admit that in the near future, the enemy will concentrate its efforts on terrorizing the civilian population in the border areas, namely in the Kharkiv and Sumy regions, Berezovets said. Naturally, in this regard, we are interested in the reaction of our partners, as we see a serious conflict has arisen in Trump's team, which indicates that there is a struggle between different points of view in Washington. One of them is allied with Ukraine, and the other, let's call it mildly, pragmatic. Ukrainian intelligence does not rule out that the Russians will use North Korean military personnel in their attacks on the Sumy and Kharkiv regions. This opinion was expressed by the spokesman for the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Andriy Chernyak, in an interview with the Japanese public broadcaster NHK. According to him, North Korea's losses are currently around 5,000, but another 6,000 soldiers are still in Kursk and can continue to fight. Chernyak says that after unsuccessful assaults, they changed tactics and now move in groups of 1 to 2 fighters. The GUR spokesman emphasized that now we can also talk about more successful training of the military from the DPRK. They have mastered the tactics of using unmanned aerial vehicles and electronic warfare. And now they are also fully mastering the weapons and tactics that Russia uses on the battlefield against Ukraine. GUR also stated that the language barrier between North Koreans and Russians does not cause any obstacles. Chernyak believes that the military from the DPRK fulfill their duties in assault units without even communicating with Russian soldiers.